the United States military has one job, and that's to go overseas and break stuff and kill people in the event of them needing to do so. And every decision should be boiled down to, does it make us a more effective warfighting force, or does it not? If it does, then you should do it, irrespective of cost, irrespective of social heartburn that it might create, and irrespective of really anything other than that singular goal of, is this what we're here to do or not? And it really needs to stay that simple.
Is it that black and white to you?
It is, because it's unlike really every other aspect of our life, or very few other ones. It's a mission or purpose built element where everything you do revolves around your ability to go places and be effective in terms of a warfighting force. So whether or not women should be in certain roles, or transgenders should be allowed, or any of those things, to me, I'm reminded of the Jeff Goldblum quote in Jurassic Park, which is where he says, we've spent so much time thinking about whether or not we could or couldn't, we never stop to think whether or not we should or shouldn't. In relation to pulling the DNA out of a mosquito in amber or whatever, and to me it's very much that way, is that trying to prove that women can do certain things, or that transgenders can fit into certain elements, to me I think misses the boat. Is that to me that's not the place to do that. If you want to have an experiment that way, then do it in the Olympics, do it in collegiate sports. First, if you want to try something out, try it there where people's lives aren't on the line, because if you'll notice, there's a pretty stark contrast between men and women in competition as it relates at a world-class level. Well, in the military, and especially in special operations, it's absolutely no different. There is a huge disparity between sexes when it comes to combative everything. Take the UFC as an example. There's a reason there's men and women's competition classes. Why is there not a push to make that co-ed? There's not. Why isn't there? Why is there a push to have women Navy SEALs and women Rangers and Green Berets, but nobody gives a shit to have a 155-pound woman face Conor McGregor in the ring? Why not? Why is there not the same level of bordering on vitriol for that competitive equality that exists, when the reality of it is whether you take the Olympics or the UFC, is that everybody knows what the actual result would be, and that would be an outclassing, and I think very few, if any, women would win anything, and that's why there are women's divisions in both the Olympics, collegiate sports, as well as thirdly being the UFC.
That led to two different parts. What part of that do you think is the guy at the top who runs UFC? Because there's no way in the world he's going to tolerate that. You know what I'm saying? Where he's not a personality that is like, well, I think it's fair, we have to be fair, and what about this, and people's feelings. How much of it you think has to do with him, and how much of it has to do with media pressure and organizations to want to get to that point?
UFC specific, unquestionably that's a factor. However, there's no media pressure for that. Why isn't there? Why is there so much media pressure on female SEALs, Green Berets, Rangers, etc.? Absolutely zero when it comes to why aren't there just Olympic events? Why are there male, female? There's no heartburn with that. So UFC, yeah, you could say Dana White maybe has the personality that would make it bordering on impossible to do that anyway, but there's not even the effort to make that happen. On the other hand, there's also a number of other competitive or combative sports leagues. There's Bellator, there's a bunch of smaller ones where there's absolutely no push for that either. And again, I would say collegiate sports, zero. There's crickets. Why is there an LPGA? Why is there a WNBA? Why is there not a push to have all of these women who play in those leagues play in the NBA and mandate that there's a 50-50 percentage or a 60-40 or whatever the population is to reflect that? There's absolutely none. Why not? To me, the fact that there is such pushback and such aggressiveness when it comes to proving that women can do certain things, I have no doubt that there are some women out there that can physically do certain things that any man can do. You can watch a CrossFit competition and see that for sure there are some that could probably make it through. My point is that from a warfighting effectiveness standpoint, it doesn't matter, and the reason it doesn't matter is because when you interject different sexes into those types of roles, it causes problems. My idea or fix or whatever, not that I'm individual in thinking this, there's a number of us that do, is I would say just have female special operations units that are all female, the same way Israel has had actually enormous success with. There doesn't need to be female SEALs. There could be female whatever, special operations detachment or unit that you want to stand up from scratch and have it be all women. I've got no problem with that. There are a number of applications where women, I think, are better suited than men in certain, especially covert operations, where women, especially in certain parts of the Middle East that you can relate to, where women have far more access and far less microscope on them in terms of getting into certain areas versus not, because they're women and they're going to be given a pass. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, have a role in combat. I think, well, for starters, they already do. Which I'm not going to get into any further than that, but there's no shortage of women that are already doing things that most people never hear about that that are absolutely beneficial and worthwhile and should be applauded. However, in my opinion, and I can say 98.9% of all other special operators' opinions out there, former or active, mirrors that same thing.
So let me ask you this. So you're not saying no to women getting into special operations. You're talking about separate the two, and they're able to go in a different direction than maybe the men are going. So right now, when you went to BUDS, was it all men?
Yes.
When you went to BUDS? Because you went BUDS what year? It was
97.
97. So are you in high school class of 96 or 97?
96.
96.
Yeah.
So we're the same year. I'm also class of 96.
Yeah.
So graduate 96, then you go to BUDS in 97. There are no women in your class
Correct.
at all 97.
Correct.
How about today?
To my knowledge, there still hasn't been any women that have actually classed up. There's been a couple that have tried and have either failed or quit in the pre-training phase, which is at Great Lakes, which is in Great Lakes, Illinois. Just after boot camp, there's a couple month pre-training period that is supposed to get prospective students ready to be a little better prepared for BUDS, but none of them, to my knowledge, have made it past that.
So what's your concern? What's your concern, since it's not?
I guess
it hasn't happened yet.
I mean, my concern is the principle of it is the push to make that avenue available when that very simple question of, does this make us a more effective warfighting force? In my opinion, no, it doesn't. In my opinion, it causes far more problems, and so I do think it is that black and white. When it comes to your mission is very black and white, you can reduce those decisions in terms of whether or not it makes us at a higher capacity or not very black and white.